Hi all, good evening. I welcome all of you to the fourth day of this boot camp, which is organized for 3D modeling course and similarly which is organized by Rotary Club of Madras Metro and supported and presented by Tech-iera Innovations Private Limited. It's so glad to see, to witness all of you who have started to register your attendance here for the day. So whoever are yet to send us your attendance, please type it here in the live chat in the format of your name and slash your college name and slash your register number. Happy evening, everyone. Yes, thank you so much for the amazing response that you have been showing for the last 3 days. And so we are stepping into the fourth day. And here, uh, today we will also be learning few other techniques. Okay, and we'll also be doing few other enhancements to the model that we did yesterday. Okay. So to start with, before I could start all these things, I'd like to tell you, if you have not saved the WhatsApp number from which you are receiving the messages, please save the number so that you will not receive any further intimation from our end. And also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do it, as you will also be provided with recordings of the classes which you are taking up. So it will be visible only if you could subscribe to the channel, right? So now, having said this, yesterday we all created this model, right? So today we will be doing furthermore enhancements in the model. Okay. So to start with, what we will do is that here we'll start with this window part. Okay. So here yesterday we just created a kind of two cubes. Okay, and then one here and one here, and then we just brought those kind of frames which we have fixed over here. Okay, but when we look into the realism of a window or how it looks like, the glasses will not appear outside, right? So there will be a frame which is around. Okay, so today what we are going to do is that we are going to fix up the frames which we have left yesterday. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is, let me first disable this cube. Okay, so I'll just delete off the cube which was there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this line which is here. Okay, so let me give what command should I give to duplicate an object? Can you please type it here in the live chat? What is the command that I have to give to duplicate an object? Any shortcut? To duplicate an object, what is the shortcut? Let's see who answers. Super. Shift D is the shortcut for duplicate option, right? So now here I am going to press Shift plus D. Okay. Now I have moved, duplicated it, but simultaneously I have also moved it. So what I'm going to do is that I just have to place the object in the very same place as it was before. Okay. So for that, if in case I have moved an object by mistake or unknowingly, what is the click that I have to make? Yes, I'll repeat the question again. If unknowingly I make a mistake, what is the click that I have to make? Is it going to be right click or is it going to be left click? Right click, exactly. So now I have moved it unknowingly. So let me just press right click. Okay. So this is the front view of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it in the x-axis. Okay. So to move it in the x-axis, what should I give? What is the control that I should give to move an object here in x-axis? What's the key that I should give to move this object in x-axis? Yes, good. So here we have to give g plus x, okay, and it moves the object in x, okay. So since we practically understand that a frame of a window will be wider than the other parts, okay. So here we are going to scale it a little bit in x-axis, okay. So to scale it in x-axis, I am pressing s plus x. Okay, I have made this bigger frame. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to grab it and move a little bit here in x. Okay, also the height and the gap over here is not the same as the inner one. So for that, what I'm doing is, let me grab it first and move it a little bit towards right in x, okay, so that it sits on the face. So here you can also snap it to the face of the object also, okay, so that is also can be done. Now here I have moved it, but here when I see it in the side view, okay, so the frame is a little bit outer than the wall. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to scale it in y-axis. Okay, I'm going to make it look a bit thick. Okay, now I have made it this thicker. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to grab it and move it a little bit inside in Y. Okay, yes. Now, next to this, what I'm going to do is that by keeping this as a measurement, I am going to pull this window cube a little bit inside. Okay. So since I understand that these cubes also come along with this window, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift select all these frames. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have shift selected all these frames. Now I am going to pull them little bit inside in y axis. Okay, so I have pulled them in y. All right, now what I am going to do is that let me duplicate this and place it this side. Okay, so duplicate it and place. I am again going to shift D plus X axis. So let me go to the front view, then shift D and X. And I'm going to place it here. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to duplicate this frame which is here, and then I'm also going to make it look thick, and then I'm going to pull it up and down. Okay, so to do it again, I'm going to the front view. Okay, so here and here, if I see the scale is not properly adjusted in the lower part. Okay, so to adjust it, I'm giving S plus Z. Okay, I also have to concentrate on the topper part because it also should not overgrow than the other one. Okay, so that also should be concentrated. So once I have made the changes, then what I am doing is I am duplicating this one as I told you previously. So to duplicate it, Shift D and then grab in Z axis, then bring it over here. Okay, and I also should make this one to in thicker width like this. Okay, so to do it, I'm going to scale it in Z axis to increase its width. Okay, so here I'm going to see the width of this frame. Okay, so the width is 0.885. Okay, so here also I'm going to make it 0.885. Okay, so that both these things are in the same dimension. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just scale it to fit this space. Okay, to scale it, what I'm doing is I'm just going to move this one a bit up. Okay, so here you can also snap it with the vertex or the face. Okay, so here I'm pressing S and X to scale it to fit this width. Now I think I have just made it a bit wider. Okay, so for that I'm just going to reduce the scale a little bit. Yes. Okay, now this portion looks shorter. Okay, so it is not placing on the window which is here, I mean frame which is here. So for that I'm just going to scale it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the same thing on the top part also. So I'm just going to select this, Shift D and Z. I'm bringing it and placing it on top. Okay, but here the cube, it looks a bit smaller. Okay, so for that I'm just going to enhance its height a little bit. So scale Z and yes, I am just moving it and I'm working on the minute part of it. Okay, so here the scale seems to be a bit out. Okay, so for that I'm just going to grab it and then I'm just going to place it over here so that the scale also gets added. Okay, now here when I see there is a small gap between this and this. Okay, so for that I'm just going to adjust it. So grab plus X and place it here. Okay, so the same way, select, then grab plus X. Okay, now once I have done it, here I'm going to select all these things and then I'm going to scale them a little bit, not so much. So scale them in X axis. Okay, now when we see it, okay, it looks with the appearance of the window. If we need, we can also just join all these things. Okay, Control plus J, and then we can move them a little bit out. Okay, so that it looks like a proper window when we see in the render view. Okay, can you see that? So previously it was like this. Okay, now it's like this, right? So next to this, we'll also do the same thing for the other windows as well. Okay. So here what we are going to do is now I'm just going to duplicate these frames. Okay, and shift D, and in Y axis I'm going to move it and keep it here. Okay, and then let me just leave the okay, no, I'm just going to make the frame wider in Y axis a little bit, not so much. Okay, since this is a window, I'm just making it this much only. So here, just for me to know which part I'm doing, I'm just going to the shader, and previously it was this material. Okay, so now I have changed it to random. Okay, so that random colors get allotted to the objects. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Okay, now here when I changed that to random color, I observe a problem here in this window. Okay, can you see? There is a gap between this one and this one. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is okay, so here let me just scale it a little bit in Y. Okay, but oh, okay, wait, we'll come to that in the later part. Okay, so now let me just first fix this one. Okay, now I am going to duplicate this and then shift D and Y and place it here. Okay, so select this, shift D and Z and move it and place it here. Okay, so here again I'm going to copy its dimension. So in Y it is minus 0.676. So here I'm going to bring that value in Z, minus 0.676. Okay. Okay, minus 0.676. Okay, so here once I have made the frame wider, okay, now I am going to grab it and bring it a little bit above, and then I'm going to scale it in Y. Okay, while scaling I also have to mind the uh, length that I am scaling. Okay, now it looks too much, so here I am just reducing its scale, and then grab, then Y axis, then place it here. Okay, the same way I am going to duplicate it, and then Z axis and move it here. Okay, so now I am also seeing that I have not messed up in the scale, but this width looks a bit much. Okay, or the scale here is a bit lesser, so I'm just going to increase it little bit. The same thing I'm going to do it for the upper part. Okay, yes. So now I have adjusted the scale. Okay, so my duty now is to move this frame a bit behind. Okay, so to do that, grab it in X-axis and pull it a little bit inside. Okay, it seems it has gone so much in. So I'm just going to select it, grab X and yes. Okay, fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join all the frame. Okay, by selecting everything, Control J to join them as one. Okay, yes, now I have joined the frame. And now what I am going to do is that I'm going to tell you one other new technique. Okay, so here as of now, let me just disable this one. Okay, so here what we are going to do is we are going to just duplicate this object, okay, and then we are going to make it fix in the surface. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is first let me duplicate it. Okay, then I'll leave it there. Then I'll turn the snap on. Okay, then I'll turn the face mode on. Okay, so here I'm going to select two options. One is align rotation to target, project individual elements. Okay, so now once I have turned it on, then what I'm going to do is, can you see it automatically turns its rotation. Okay, so here what it will tend to do is that as I move it, it tends to fix wherever I am going to place it. Okay, so for that I'm going to grab it, then in y-axis. Okay, so here since I am not going to rotate it, I'm just going to rotate it in Z. Okay, 90. No, sorry, I'm not going to rotate it. I'm just going to handle it in that way. Okay, grab Y, move it here, leave it, then rotate it in Z axis. Okay, so here I notice a problem. Can you see what the problem is? The objects behave to be abnormal. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this again. Okay, then let me turn the face select mode on. Okay, yes, now I'm going to select this and then grab it. Okay, let me disable these three things also. Okay, select, shift select, then go here, then face select mode is on. Now shift D, then I am going to bring it in Y. Okay, then I'm going to fix it in X. Okay, as I move, it tends to move. Okay, so let me just bring it like this. Now what I will do is that I will select those frames separately. Okay, I'm just going to see where the frame is. So here the frame is like this. Now I'm just going to rotate it in Y and fix it in 90-degree. Okay. So this method is applied when you want to copy an object, okay, but you want to place it in different phase. Okay, now for example, what we'll do is I will maybe bring in a representation of lovers on these bushes. Okay, so for that, let me go to the front view and then shift A to add an object, and then I'm going to add in, what can I add? Let me just add in some circles or sphere. Okay, I'll add a UV sphere. Okay, so here I'm going to make it segments a little bit to be low poly. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this sphere, okay, and place it on these objects. Okay, grab it, go to side view. Okay, so I have placed one sphere here. Okay, so to make it look somewhat decent, I'll also reduce its scale. Okay, now I have I have to duplicate this sphere. Okay, so to duplicate it, shift D. Okay, then leave it there, then go here. Okay, check these options are turned on. Now when I grab it and move it in any specific axis, so what it tends to do is that, can you see, it just sticks to the um, area of this. Okay, can you see that? So it is not moving anywhere. So now again I'll do that and show you. I'll bring this on top of this. Okay, so shift D to duplicate, then leave it there, grab it, then maybe on Z axis. Can you see, as I move it on Z axis, so till there the shape is there, it tends to stick onto the surface of the bush. Okay, so I will just show this to you in a close way. Now I have fixed it. Now again, let me bring this and fix it here. Okay, so to do that, shift D, sorry, shift D, duplicate, then grab it in Y. Can you see, it just moves on the surface of the sphere. So only when I take it out of the surface, still it moves in the axis, but if you see well, it just maintains its area to the surface of any object. Okay, so this is what this option does. Okay, did you understand this technique? If you have understood this technique, please type an understood here in the chat. So again, I'm going to duplicate this and then move it in Z, then grab it, move it in X, then place it here. Okay, so in random order, I'm just going to place the sphere. Guys, did you understand? Please type it here in the live chat if you have understood it or not, so that I can go by that. If you have not understood it, I can repeat it again too. So please type that if you have understood it or not. Okay, so as you type in, here I am just going to explain it once more. So here I am selecting a sphere or any other object. So this option, whatever we are going to do now, can be followed for any object that has to be on any surface of other object. Okay, so here I want this object to be just on the surface of the other sphere, which is over here. Okay, so for that, what I am doing is I am uh, duplicating the shape first. Okay, whatever I want to duplicate, I'm just duplicating it. Then I am turning the snap mode on. Once I have turned the snap mode on, I am going to shift between from this vertex select mode to face select mode. As I change it to the face select mode, here there will be two options which are shown. I'm just going to check those two options. Okay, and then I am going to duplicate this one. Okay, and then I am going to choose which axis I am going to place the object in. Okay, so after choosing the objects, I am going to move the objects on the surface of the other object. Okay, so this is how things get duplicated. Okay, so here also if I join the frame, okay, things will be appearing properly. But since that I am going to allot materials for them separately, I am not joining them. Okay, so that is why the things seem to be collapsed. Okay, so here again I'm just going here, right, and then shift D. Okay, so I'm going to move it in y axis, then rotate in Z 90 degree. Now I'm going to grab it. Okay, so now I have rotated it. Now let me turn snap off. Okay, now I'm going to bring it in Y. Okay, after placing it in the position that I want it to be placed, then I will turn the snap mode on. Okay, for it to be placed on the surface of the uh, cube. Okay, so here I'm going to move it in x-axis. Okay, then I have brought it to the surface. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to grab it, move it in y. Okay, bring it here, grab z, bring it here. Okay, go to the side view and check, grab z, move it on top. Okay, now I will select the other cube manually. Okay, so it is here. So I'm just going to select it, then rotate it in x-axis, and then I'm going to rotate it in 90 degree. Then I'm going to bring it to the front by grabbing it in x. Okay, so here let me turn the side of the cube. Grab it, Z, and place it here. Okay, now when I compare this and this, the frame here is a bit inside, so I'm just going to grab it and bring it here and leave. Okay, so to observe this, I'm going to the back view by giving Control plus 1. Okay, now I'm just observing the thing which is here. Okay, so here the pink color seems to be appearing. Okay, so by knowing that, what I am doing is grab it, and in x-axis I'm going to bring it a little bit forward so that the pink color is vanished, and now I know that both my frames are in equal pace. Okay, so the same way I am going to bring these objects to outside. So I'm just going to grab them in x-axis. Okay, so this is how I am creating the windows. Okay, can you see the difference between for the previous shape and this shape? There is some kind of difference that we are able to witness, right? So now here we have lost our cube, which has to be inside. Okay, so to view that, I'm going to go to the wireframe view. Okay, I'm just going to select where that cube is. This is the frame. Okay, so here I don't tend to see the cube. the frame is here, and this cube is here. Okay, let me go to the solid view. I try to move it. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'll go to the rendered view. Okay, I'll just try to disable it to check if that is an extra cube or what. No, it is a cube of the this window which is here. Okay, so again I'll go to the wireframe view. Then I'll try to find out the duplicated cube. Okay, it seems that the cube is not duplicated. Okay, so for that, what I am doing is I am going to duplicate the cube again. Okay, and then move it in Y, and then take it and place it here. Okay, now the object seems to be perfect. Okay, done. So now next to this, what we are going to do is that we are going to repeat the same thing for all the other windows we have created. Okay, since all these things belong to one shape, okay, I am going to go to this shape which is here. Okay, so now to create the shape here, I should have four different cubes, right? So to get that four different cube, I'm going to scale the existing cube itself. Okay. So I'm going to the right view by giving control plus 3. Okay. So now I'm going to scale this cube in Z axis. Okay. Then grab it in Z. Then place it on top of this cube. Okay, then again I'm going to scale this in x-axis to make it look y-axis to make it look smaller. Okay, to fit the frame size of the window. Okay, yes, now I have fit it. Okay, but here the cube seems to be a bit outside. Okay, so for that I'm going to grab it in x and pull it inside. All right, so now again I'm going to the side view of it. Now again I'm going to shift D and Z to duplicate it and place it here. Okay, then again shift D, rotate in 90-degree. Okay, then grab, sorry, yes, so rotate in 90-degree, then no. Okay, then grab it in Z axis, place it here, grab it in Y axis, place it here. Okay, and then scale it in Z. Okay, then grab it Z and adjust it. Scale Z a little bit. Okay, then next to scaling this, I'm going to shift D and then Y, move it and keep it here. Okay, so there is a bit space here. So grab it again in Y axis, then place it here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all this bits and pieces, and then I'm going to join them by hitting Ctrl plus J. Okay, you can either do this or you can right click and you can give join. Okay, so any method you can do to join the object. Okay, so here we are having two different cubes. Okay, so now next to this, what we are going to do is that we are just going to group them. Okay, group by giving control plus G. Okay, now I have grouped them. Okay, so here I'm going to name them, name this collection as small window. Okay, so now I'm just going to delete these things off and then bring this collection, shift D and Z and move it and keep it here. Okay, again shift D, then move it in Y, then move it in Z and place it here. Okay, so now I have duplicated the side windows. Okay, so now next to this, what we are going to do is that we'll fix the top part of this. Okay, so in the top part also again I'm going to scale the cubes accordingly. Okay, so for that I'm going to the top view. Okay, scale in x-axis, make it look thicker frame or thin. Okay, I have scaled it. Now I'm going to 7 and then grab it in x-axis, then place it here. Okay, so I'm going to go to control 3. Okay, then grab it in Z to place it here. Okay, then scale it a little bit in Z, Z axis. Okay, grab Z and place it here. Okay, now going to the front view, it looks like this. Now I'm going to scale it a little bit in EX. Okay, grab it X and place it here. If you want, you can turn the snap mode on, and then in snap mode you can turn on vertex select mode and then snap this vertex to this one which is here. Okay, so that is also doable. Okay, now I have duplicated it. Okay, now let me go to the side view again. Okay, I can see that the width of it is a bit long than the building. Okay, so I'm going to shrink it by scaling it. So scale it in y-axis to a lesser size. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the front view and shift D, X and going to place it here. Okay, so here grab X and place. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to back view of it, then shift D, rotate in Z some 90-degree. Okay, then grab it, then bring it in x-axis and place it here. Okay, now when we go to the top view and see, this is in the center. Okay, but we want this to come in the side. Okay, so to do that I'm going to grab it in y-axis and place it here. Okay, but when I see in the front view or here in the side view, okay, so this cube seems to be outside. Okay, So it has to be inside. So for that, I'm going to grab it in y-axis and place it here. Okay, so the same way I'm going to do for the front portion as well. So shift D, then move it in Y, and then place it here. Okay, so let me also go to the side view and check it properly whether it's properly placed. Okay, so when I see this here, there is a gap. Okay, so for that, I'm going to grab it in X, sorry, in Y, and then going to place it here. Okay, now I have created a structure like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these cubes and then Control J to join them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this a little bit inside, or yes. Okay, now things seem to be fine. Okay, are you fine till this? If you are fine, you can please text over here in the live chat. Okay, so here now what we are going to do this is when we joined this one by mistake. Okay, so here we joined these things by mistake, right? So without seeing this shape hasn't been scaled well, I have joined the entire thing. Okay, so to unjoin them, to split them, what I am going to do is I am going to go to the edit mode. Okay, so as of now, as beginners, you just learn these two modes, which is object mode and then edit mode. Okay, these are the two modes that you have to learn as of now. Okay, so here we are in the object mode. Okay, so as of now, whatever we are doing is that we are just importing some shapes and we are creating other good representations out of those shapes whichever we are selecting, right? So here what we are going to do is that once we go to this object mode, um, then we have to shift to this edit mode. Okay, once we shift to this edit mode, so in the day one of class or day two of class, I was explaining about this vertex, edge, and face select mode. Okay, so if you don't remember, you can please check the recording in the playlist that we have given to you. So from this edit mode, I'm going to go to the face select mode, okay, which is the third box over here. Okay, then I'm going to select the faces whichever I want to edit. Okay, so here I'm going to select this face which is in the back. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to I'm going to select this entire shape, okay, by selecting all its faces by holding on shift. Okay, so here I am holding shift and I have selected all its faces. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to the side view and now I am going to press S and Y. Okay, so once I press S and Y, the objects will scale. Okay, now again I'm going to go to grab G plus Y to take it and fix it here. Okay, so now I have fixed it. Okay, but the problem is that the shape is outgrown when I see from here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to scale it in x-axis a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to grab it and adjust it according to the other frame sizes. Okay, so here I'm going to grab it in X and place it here. Okay, and also I am able to see some gap which is here. Okay, so this gap can be adjusted by selecting these faces which are here. Okay, so here let me go to the wireframe mode. To handle in wireframe mode, let me go to the um, no, edge select edge select mode. Okay, so here I'm going to select the edges of the back face. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Sorry. If you have selected something wrongly, you can just press shift and then click on it so that it also gets deselected. Okay, so I have selected the faces whichever seems to be disabled. Okay, then I am coming over here. Then let me go to the view and check. Okay, now let me go to the face select way again. Then I'm going to select the faces whichever is here. Okay, still the top face is not properly seen. So for that again I'm going to wireframe mode. Okay, here the face is already selected. Okay, so now what I am going to do is that go to the solid view again. Okay, now I am going to scale it by clicking on S plus Z, a little bit of scale. Okay, now there is no gap in between this. Okay, the same way I need to adjust this also. Okay, so the same thing, I'm going to shift select the faces here whichever is visible. For the faces whichever is not visible, I'm going to go to the wireframe mode and then make the adjustments. Okay, so here I don't see this top face. Okay, now I have selected all the faces. Okay, so how many faces a cube has? Can you please type it here in the chat? How many faces a cube has? You just type it here in the chat. Meanwhile, I'll adjust its scale. Okay, so now I have selected everything and now I'm pressing S and Z. Okay, I'm moving it little bit and fixing it over there. Okay, so it is the time for us to go to this frame which is underneath. Then I'm selecting the back face also by just zooming onto the face. Yes, now I have selected all the faces of this and then I'm going to scale this also in y-axis. Grab Y and then place it here. Okay, now I have made the adjustments. Okay, now what I can do is I can go from edit mode to this object mode. Okay, now if I see, things will appear fine. Okay, but still when we look at it, this scale is a bit out. Okay, so for that I am again going to the edit mode. Okay, so since the last object that I selected was this, the faces will be selected just like that. Okay, so here I'm going to reduce the scale in x-axis a little bit, not so much, just a little, and then maybe I'll go here Okay. So here I'm going to scale it a little bit in x-axis, and I'm going to adjust its scale. Okay, maybe I'll set it to 1. 1 also seems to be bigger. So here I'm just taking it to 0.9999. Okay, I'm manually typing in the values to adjust to see which value fits it best. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab it in X and place it properly. Okay, now if I go to object mode, yes, so things seem to be fine. Okay, now next to this, now that I have created these two windows and this window in the side, I'm just going to rotate this one, R, Z axis, and then 90 degree. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just duplicate these windows and place them in the places of these windows which are here. Okay, so I'm just going to delete them. Okay, so to delete an object, okay, so here we have Kasi who has answered that cube has 6 faces. Good. So here what we are going to do is that to delete an object, what we have to do is we have to select the objects, okay, and then hit X in your keyboard. Okay, once you hit X in your keyboard, you will get this option delete. Okay, if you give OK, it will be deleted. The same way, I'm just going to delete all these things, X and delete. Then again, I'm going to select this X delete. Okay, so here again I'm going to select this X delete. Okay, so here before I created this window, I disabled the window which was here. Do you remember? So I'm just going to go to those. Okay, and then I'm going to enable them, and also I'm just going to make a count of them, then X and delete. Okay, so that these windows, the newly created windows, are just there. Okay, so now I'm just going to click on these. Okay, then shift, I'll go to the side view, shift D and Z axis. Let me move it here and leave it here. Okay, again shift D in Y axis and move it here and leave it here. The same way I'm going to the back view by giving control plus 1. Okay, so here I'm going to select this and then shift D, then X to duplicate it in X axis and place it here. Okay, so here when I see the Windows position seems to be a bit inside. Okay, so here I'm just going to select this, go to the back view and then grab it in X axis and fix it here. And again I'm going to select this window, grab it X axis and place it here. Okay, so now again shift D, Z and place the window here. Then again let me also move it a little bit down. Yes, shift D, then X axis, move it and leave it here. Okay, so I have duplicated the entire one. Okay, so now we have these flowers which we have to duplicate. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is that let me go to the object. First, let me select it, Shift D and leave it there. Then turn the snap on. Then by selecting the face select mode, I'll check if these two options are turned on. Now I'm going to grab it in x-axis. Okay. Yes, I have placed it here. The same way I'm going to bring it here. So Shift D, then Y. Let me bring it here. Then grab X and place it here. Okay. So merely this option particularly makes the shape stick to a surface. Okay. So that is the idea that we have got. So now we'll just try to duplicate from here to this bush which is here. Okay. So select Shift D, Y axis, then place it here. Okay, the object gets placed. The same way, Shift D, X axis, let me place it here. Okay, then again Shift D, then Y axis and place it here. Shift D, X axis or Y axis, and now I'll move it in X and place it here. Okay, then again Shift D, Y, then if I want I can just move it in Z axis and place it here. Okay, and then Shift D, X axis, place it here. Okay, so the same way, let me do it for these bushes as well. Okay, once we have done this, we will also go to the material and then we will apply some materials of some different colors for these flowers also. Okay, so as of now, our building looks like this. All right, so we will just see how it transforms. So again, I'll go to the solid view. Okay, and again, let me select this, Shift D, X axis and place it here. Shift D, X and place it here. Shift D, Y and place it here. Shift D, X, place it here. Okay, so one thing that you have to concentrate is that I am not working on only one view. Okay, I tend to see it from all the views to check whether objects are being placed properly. Okay, so not just the flowers that we are making here, but for every object that I work on, I see it from all the perspectives. Okay, to know whether things are happening properly. Okay. So here again, I'm just holding Shift D, then Y. Okay, I'll take it and place it here. Then Shift D, Z. I'll take it and place it here. Okay, so again, I'll just bring one here or here. Okay, so Shift D, X axis, and then Y axis, and then Z axis to place it here. Okay, done. So now we are just going to duplicate to this bush also. So again, Shift D, move it in X axis and place it here. Then Shift D, move it in Y, place it here. Shift D, move it in X, place it here. Okay, can you see? So previously when I saw, I felt as if the sphere was on the icosphere, which is here, but when I actually come to the other view and see, the sphere got placed on the surface of this cube, which is here. Okay, so here again I'm going to grab it in x-axis, then take it to the object, okay, and place it here. Then shift D in y-axis and place it here. Shift D, Z, place it here and grab it further and take it in Y and place it here. Okay, I'll place one on top and then one over here in some way. Okay, so shift D, Y, and then grab it in x-axis and I'll just place it here. Okay, and again I'll just select this, shift D, then move it in Y and then bring it in Z and then grab it in Y again to place it here. Okay, so now the same thing we will repeat for this bush also. Okay, so the bush that is over here. So I'll just select this one, shift D, bring it in Y and place it here. Then shift D, X or Y and then place it here. Okay, shift D, X and place it here. Shift D, Y and place it here. Shift D, Z and place it in the bottom. Okay, then shift D, Y and then place it here. Okay, then shift D, Z and take it somewhere to the top, or I'll bring it here. So grab it in Y and then place it here. Okay, I think this is enough. So now what we will do is we'll go to the material. Okay, so here we will apply material to these objects. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is that we are just going to bring in colorful representations for the flowers. Okay, so we'll just give them at random colors. So I have selected one shape and then go to the material properties, then assign new material. Now I'm just going to give it some violet color or something. Okay, then again go to the other one, new material and base color, let me move it to yellow. Okay, so like this I'm just going to give some random colors for the flowers representation. Okay, so let me give red, pink. I mean, I also have to concentrate which shape I am selecting. Okay, so here let me go to this pink and select this new base color. Let me choose it to somewhere in lavender, new, then green, or okay, then I'll go here, new, give this okay. So like this I'm just going to give in some colorful shapes for our colorful appearances for our shapes which we have included. Okay, so whichever shade you want, you can just give that, and then make your shapes look colorful. Okay, so I'm just concentrating on giving some other new colors to not make it look repeated. Okay. So here, after I give all these things, I'll also tell you one more thing which we did not do yesterday. Okay, it feels to be gray, so I'll move it to blue or something. Okay. Okay, now we have allotted the colors for all the flowers. Okay, so now this is how our rendered view looks like. Okay, so here I'll just change the color of this so that it looks somewhat different from the existing shape. So let me make it to yellow. Okay. So now when we see, actually, what was the purpose for us to add one HDRI like this in the background? Can you please type that in the chat? What was the purpose for us to include an HDRI like this in the background? Yes. So the purpose of the HDRI that we included in the background was to give some lighting to our scene. Okay, because without HDRI, the scene looked dark. Okay, so to avoid that, we gave it we gave a HDRI texture for the background for the environment. Okay, so here what when we see this as one entire scene, okay, when we either export it or anything, so this doesn't seem to look good for the environment. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is that I am going to change the render engine. Okay, so there is something called as render engine. That is, if your system supports high-end graphics, or if your system just concentrates on low-end or anything like that. Okay, so you have to control using the render engine. Okay, by default, the render engine of an object will be set to EV. Okay, so here if you click on this radio like icon which is over here, I mean you will be able to see the option of render engine. Okay, so here as you see, the engine is set to EV by default. If you change this EV to cycles, okay, so this is how things will look like. Okay, so it attempts to show the high-end graphics of the shape or model whichever you are creating. Okay, so once you have created that, you have to go to this world properties in which we um, added our environment texture, which is the HDRI. Okay, so then you will be able to see an option called as ray visibility. So I'll tell you clearly, if you are not switching the render engine from EV to cycles, you will not be able to see this option in world properties. Okay, so you will be able to see the world properties option only when you change the render engine from EV to cycles. Okay, but I am also adding that if your system does not support high-end graphics, okay, if your system just works like that and does not concentrate on supporting high-end graphics, please don't attempt to change to this cycles. Okay, let it be in EV. Okay, and it is okay to have the background. Okay, have the HDRI background. Okay, if your system supports high-end graphics, you can switch cycles from EV. Okay, and then when you go to the world properties, you will be able to see an option called ray visibility. Okay, so in this ray visibility, everything will be turned on. Okay, so you just have to turn this camera off. So once you turn the camera off, the HDRI will be vanished. Okay, so this is how you will fix the render engine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to the render engine and change it to EV again. Okay, because my system has started to heat. Okay, so I have switched it back. Now when I observe the kind of render properties that the building has, so here and all, I have not given it a color. Okay, so it does not look uniform, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate the inner cubes which are here and going to place them inside the window frames. Okay, so to do that, Shift D and then grab it. Okay, snap is on, so I will turn it off. Okay, so grab it in Z and bring it and place it here. The same way, Shift D, move it in Y axis and place it here. Okay, so now again I'm going to select this, then Shift D, rotate Z axis 90 degree. Okay, then I'm going to go to the side view. Okay, and then I'm going to press grab in Y axis, take it here and place. Okay, then I'll come to the back view. So grab it in X axis and place it here. Grab it in Z axis and place it here. Okay, I'll also move closer to check whether the cube is placed well. Okay, so here it is not. So I'm just going to grab it, Z, and place it properly. Okay, so the same way I'm going to Shift D, then X, and then I'm going to place the cube here. Okay, if you prefer, you can also apply the material and then you can duplicate things so that if you want to bring in only one type of material, you can do this. If not, you just want to bring in a lot of different variations in the material type, you can just duplicate it and then you can apply material to it. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this again, Shift D, Z axis, and then place it here. Then Shift D, Y axis, x-axis, and then place it here. Okay, so now I have placed everything. So now it is the time for me to apply some material to our objects. Okay, so the frames are all in white. Okay, so let them be in white. So we will just change the color of the cube which is inside. Okay, so now to do that, what I'll do is I'll just go back to this. Okay, and then go to material. Then I'm going to change the base color. Okay, so I'll bring the base color back to, I'll go to the render properties for this. Okay, since I duplicated the appearance, the color seems to change everywhere equally. Okay, so here I'm just moving in to check which appearance fits the appearance of a glass. Okay, so I leave the color here, and then I'll come to this part. So here we don't have any color specifically, so we'll just allot some other different colors which look subtle as well as which look attractive. Okay, let me give all the three windows some three different colors. Okay, now I'll switch to the render engine and change it to cycles, and this is how our building looks like. Okay, so did you all understand till whatever we have created? Okay, done. So now next to this, what we will do is that um, okay, so here once the cycles engine loads your object, if you could just move it closer and see, you will be able to witness the beautiful colors that you have created. Okay, okay, now what I'm going to do is let me go to render. Okay, then render image. Okay, so here the image will show the camera view of the camera view whichever is there. Okay, so for that what you can do is go back to, just close it. Okay, now where your camera view is, so you just have to uh, increase your camera view. Okay, then you can just go here, adjust your camera's position. Okay, so now I am just making it. So here maybe if I want, I can just move it on top like this and then rotate it in x-axis like this. And then if I go to render and give render image, so this is how the image gets loaded. Okay, so it will slowly load each and every object which is there in your scene. Okay, but when you closely observe, so wherever there is an overlap in the shape, so there and all you'll be able to see a kind of patch. Okay, so which will not make your render look good. Okay, so for that you just have to make objects in such a way that those are not overlapping. Okay, so this is what you have to concentrate. All right, so once you have done that, you can just give. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just render and show you from this angle itself. Okay, maybe let me move it a bit closer and then okay, maybe I'll just focus the top part of it. Okay, and then I'll go to render image, and then once it gets loaded, then you have to go to image or this. So let it get loaded. Here the time will show. Okay, so the render time, how long it is taking to load all the materials and all the meshes that you have added. So this timer will show you how much time is left and all that. Okay, so once you get to see that, then you can just hit image and then you will be able to save it. I think now it is taking a bit longer. Okay, so like this, you can also perform animations in Blender and then download the animations. And then, I mean, that is how you can create 3D animated movies and all that. Okay, so like that, you can create. Now I'm just waiting for the time to get over so that we can export it. Can you see the quality of it gets loaded as we see it? Okay, so previously there was all grains, but now the quality appears very neat and clean as the render gets loaded. Okay, so here it is taking a bit longer in time. I'm not able to save it as well. Okay. Fine. Let it load. I'll just close the render view as of now as it is taking a bit longer in time. Okay. So now I am back to the editor. All right. So now I hope that you will be able to create a model like this, right? So how many of you here have a confidence that you can create some model like this? Can you please just register here in the chat how many of you have the confidence that you will be able to create a model like this in Blender. You can just type in me here in the chat if you are confident that you can create something like this in Blender. Okay, so some of you also had some doubt regarding the system that you need to have if you want to practice Blender and all that. Okay, because some of you don't have a high-end configured system, or some of you think that only gaming laptop is required for all these things, but it is not like that. So you can just run a Blender if your RAM has 8 GB of size. Okay, I mean 8 GB. Okay, so if if you have bought your system in the last 10 years of time, okay, which has good configuration like 8 GB RAM, and if there is graphic card, it has to be at least 2 GB. Okay, so if your system has this kind of requirement, then you will be good to go with Blender. Okay, you need not have only gaming laptop or anything to practice Blender. It is not like that. I'll tell the configuration again. If your Blender, if your system has 8 GB RAM, okay, and if your system has graphic card with 2 GB RAM or anything, you will be able to run Blender, right? So if you have this kind of system, you can please practice Blender, right? Okay. So here, superb. So I'm amazed to see the answers from all of you saying that you are confident that you will be able to create something like this in Blender. I'm so happy and glad. Right. So now that we have seen how to create a model roughly. Okay. So if I ask you what is the dimension of this model, okay, will you be able to tell me what's the dimension of this model? So here when I click on this cube, okay, I will be able to tell that, okay, this cube's dimension is 45.7 meters in x-axis, 45.7 meters in y-axis, and in z it is 0.92 meters. Now, so like this, you will be able to see and tell the dimensions, okay. But what if you receive a floor plan? Okay, imagine you are receiving a floor plan from any architect or someone, okay. So they are asking you to create a 3D model for the floor plan that they give you. Okay, so there in the floor plan they will deliver in inches and feet. Okay, they will not give you measurements in meter or centimeter. Okay, they will give you the measurements in inches and feet. Okay, so if you receive an option like that, okay, so there what you can do is, as of now, let me just disable this entire collection. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in new collection. Okay, let me name it as quiz. Okay, so here I'm going to go to the front view. Okay, and then shift A, then mesh and cube. Okay, now the size of the cube is 2 meter, it says. All right, but now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to units. Okay, so here we have an option called scene properties. Okay, so under this scene properties, we have an option called units. So in this units, we have to change this unit system from metric to imperial. Okay, so once you change this to imperial, then here in the length, you will have this option called feet. Okay, so you have to select that feet. All right, so now when you look into this size, which is here, it says that it is 6.56 feet. Okay, so it says that the length of this cube is 6.56 feet. Okay, if it is feet, then it will show you one apostrophe. Okay, if it is going to be in inches, it will show you two apostrophe. Okay, so I'll show you how things work. So here, after doing that, what I'm going to do is that let me go to edit mode. Okay, once I go to edit mode, here if I click this drop down, okay, please see it carefully. So if I click on this drop down, which is here, okay, so here it will show this option called as measurement. Okay, so under this measurement you have to check this edge length. Okay, so once you check this edge length, it will start displaying you the length. Can you see it? So it now says that in all the sides it is 6.56 feet. Okay, so here again I'm going to the front view. Okay, so now I'm going to scale it in x-axis. So S and X. As I scale, okay, so now what I am creating is here the width of the building is 14 feet. Okay, can you see it? So it says that the width of the building is 14 feet. Now I'm going to increase its height or anything. Okay, so to increase its height, I'm going to press S and Z, and then I'm going to scale it. Okay, now as we move it, okay, we are able to see that the values in z-axis are increasing. Okay, and I'm going to take it till 30. Okay, you can also take it over here, or you can also manually adjust the values here. Okay, so you can do it either ways. So here let me take it to 30. Okay, so if it is not showing you the actual value, you can also manually edit the values. Okay, you can just edit and see which value is giving you the best result. Okay, 1.04 gives you 30.5. So I'll just take it to 1.0. Okay, it gives 29.2. So I'm going to take it to 1.2. It gives 35. Okay, so I have to play between 1.05 or anything. Okay, it gives 37. So what I'll do is I'll give 1.01, 29.5, 1.05, 30.7 again. So 1.25, 29.9. Okay, maybe I'll change this to 1.03. It gives 30.1. Okay, what I'm doing is 1.29 or 1.28 or 6. Okay, yes, 1.026. It gives me 30. Okay, so this is how we can manually edit the feet and all if you are receiving things in feet. Okay, so now I'll go to the side view to view the thickness of it. Okay, when I see the building in the side view, the thickness of the building, okay, which is called as depth of the building, is only 6.56 inches here. Okay, so will a building be just 6.56 inches? Sorry, 6.56 feet? Obviously not, right? So we have to scale it in y-axis. Okay. So as of now, I'm not working on any floor plan. I'm just scaling it just like that. Okay. So in the side view, let me take it to 50. Okay, so this is how, okay, so when I scaled in all the directions, I missed to scale it from the top angle. Okay, so to visualize it in top, I'm going to 7, okay, and then scale in x-axis, and then I'm making it to be 70 feet just approximately as of now. Okay. Yes, so I have made it as 70 feet. Okay, so now this is how my building looks like. Okay, so whatever I am creating, I can create within this building. Okay, so this is how, maybe if required, I can also go to the front view and then I can grab it in z-axis and place it on top of this world origin to make my works a bit easier. Okay, so now this is the outer structure of the building. Okay, so from here I can handle whatever I want. Okay, so this is about the measurement in feet. Okay, so if you are in case receiving any measurement in feet, you can just work on this. Okay, so what we will do is that to make this task to be even more realistic, what we will do is, in case if you are able to download any floor plan from online. Okay, I'll just roughly type in floor plan of a building. Okay, so you will get a lot of floor plans updated. You can take the simple one. Okay, don't go for complicated structure and all. Just take a simple one from this. Okay, so you can just opt in for 1 BHK. Yes, you get a lot of simple diagrams. Okay, so here we have one. Okay, whichever you are able to see it clearly. Yes, this is even more simpler. Okay, so what you can do is, to make your task interesting, you are going to bring in a floor plan for any simpler diagram like this. Okay, so here and all in this building, you just have one hall, then bedroom, then toilet, then kitchen. So that is the entire space that you have to bring in. Okay, so here you are, I mean, for your activity, what you are going to do is that you are going to take in any simple plan like this. Okay, let it be just 1 BHK building. Okay, so after you have taken 1 BHK building's floor plan, then what you have to do is that you just have to uh, draw a building, I mean, design a building like this. Okay, not this, the one that we created. Okay, so you are going to design a building like this with placing some aesthetics. Okay, now we have just designed the outer view of the building. Okay, so I also want you to design the outer view only. Okay, but in case if things inside also, you are more than welcome to do that. All right, so this is how, I mean, this is going to be your task. Okay, how many of you understood what your task is? You all understood it?